Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is time for our second interview of the day. We just completed our interview with Randy Rance, which is up right now. But our next special guest is no stranger to the stage and behind the lens. I'm super excited to have her here for some exclusive girl talk. She is a legend in her own divine right, and I'm super excited to have her here so that we can get into some things. You might have seen her on one popular hot number one hit show on Nickelodeon, All That. Our next special guest is beautiful, she's talented, and I'm super honored to have her here. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Angelique Bates. Hello.
Hey. Hi.
I'm doing wonderful. How are you? Hi.
I'm doing great. I'm glad you're doing great. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, TGIF. Oh my goodness, it is so great to have you here. So, before we get into this interview and this exclusive girl talk with you, how has your 2022 been for you thus far? Because I know it's been so much with the pandemic and now this new variant. So, how's 2022 been for you thus far?
Ah. That laugh should have just told you. It's definitely it's I mean, you know what? I'm breathing. I'm here. So I always say be grateful for the good things, have gratitude for the good things. I may have wanted things to be a little bit different, but God knows what he's doing.
All
And
the time.
I had to just keep it pushing. Production wise, I will say, I've been working. I'm happy. I've been out and about. Thank you. But I will say, I think for everybody, I don't even think it's just me. I think it's been very different. These retrogrades and whatever all this going.
Yes.
It's been real weird.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. It's so great to have you here. So let's
Oh,
dive right into it.
okay.
You graduated from high school at the age of 15, am I correct?
Oh yes. For a second, I thought you were talking about yourself. I was going to say, oh, me too.
And you attended college at the age of 15. You majored in cinematography and track and field. Tell us about that experience for you.
Well, yeah. So my mom, she had me in homeschool. Like the homeschools back then was a little bit different than now. Back then, we didn't have like the sports or the social
Yeah.
life. It was pretty much either you're being homeschooled at home, you had four walls. Your parent was your bully, your teacher, the cafeteria lady, the janitor. Um, we would meet up in a location in Inglewood, and I would take my work in. Actually, Immature used to go to that same facility too, so they would be like my little classmates when we would see each other, be like, hey, what's up? And I would do that. I think I did that for, well, up until, like I said, 15. I got my GED first, and then I just kind of like flexed a little bit and went and got back and got my degree, my diploma. So Brandy and Ray J actually were in the same school as well, the same home study. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. So then I went to college. My major was cinematography, like he said. I also ran track there because, like I said, in homeschool we didn't have any teams, so I kind of like lived out my school dreams. And I joined the track team. I transferred to another school, and there, which is actually a cool little fact, my track coach is a legendary Olympian Tommy Smith.
Wow.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, when he was my coach, though, I didn't realize how iconic he was. And I found out, and I was just like, wait a minute, oh my gosh. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And like, so my major was cinematography, like you said. I almost actually got my degree, but then like last minute, because I was already producing and writing and doing everything, I was like, why am I going to school for something I'm already doing? So I switched my major, which is psychology. So I'm still working on that.
And your mentor
Mm-hmm.
is the icon himself, Damon Wayans. He mentored you in Living Color. We all grew up watching in
Yeah.
Living Color. And it's so funny because all that, which we'll get into, everyone is screaming in the comments there, talking about oh my God, that's her from All That. Yes, we'll get to that. But in Living Color, in a way, it was like All That, but All That didn't have the dancers, the fly girls and things. You had
Mhm.
musical performance. So we'll get into your favorite musical performances
Okay.
and things like that from that show because it was so iconic and everyone grew up watching it. I know I grew up watching it too. And I'm just like, I love the skit with you and Kel, which we'll get into
Oh,
that. But tell
okay.
us about Damon Wayans, or, having him as your mentor.
Legendary. I was in the Laugh Factory boot camp, comedy boot camp. I was the only ethnic female. And the crazy thing about that, as I get older, obviously I understand what representation, means. Back then, I had no idea. So I was the youngest ethnic female. I was trying to remember. I was the youngest ethnic female to win. And that was my first paycheck. Well, minus all that, but my first stand-up paycheck on the Laugh Factory stage. Um, I think we did it for a couple months. He would have different other mentors come in, which I'm getting ready to say, like, he wasn't even the only, like, the icon. But he would, go over our routines, our jokes, help us with our punchlines, and our delivery. And he would bring in weekly other legends, Dave Chappelle, Jay
Mm-hmm.
Moore. We had others, but just to even have Damon Wayans and like Dave Chappelle, that's irreplaceable. And I actually got to meet Richard Pryor at Laugh Factory. And the part about that which completely bites is that was when, cell phones were just, coming out or whatever. And nobody was like really
Yeah.
walking around with chargers. And I don't think, matter of fact, it didn't even matter. We didn't have cameras on the cell phones. So I think we were still doing like the disposable cameras and stuff, or we were just now putting the batteries in. Anyway, the battery died right when he was getting ready to take a picture with me.
Oh,
But I got to meet him. I got to talk to him, and he admired my work. So, because I was like this little girl, doing these characters on the Laugh Factory stage. Like that's you can't replace that. And I got
now,
a plaque.
yes, that, and you got a YouTube plaque as well too. So go, girl.
Oh, thank
You
you.
you have been the blueprint. Like I literally grew up watching you, and I said, "Oh my God, I have to have her on the show because you don't know how much you've inspired me to kind of get into this with hosting and so many things. Like you've inspired so many women of color, so many Black women. Now let's talk about it because everybody is wanting to talk about it. As soon as I posted the flyer, people went into a frenzy. All they could say was all that, all that, all that, all that. So you've done All That, which is the #1 television show on Nickelodeon, and you've done it for 2 seasons, and
Yes.
you've had a fan base for all ages. Now, this show consisted of Katrina Johnson, Keenan and Kel, and not too long ago, Keenan and Kel just received their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which was a
Mhm.
huge achievement.
Mhm.
So what was it like working alongside Keenan and Kel, and you've got Danny and Katrina and Alyssa and so many others that were in this ensemble cast? Because you are one of the OGs.
Yeah.
So my favorite skit is the Good Burger skit, might I add, with you and Kel. So tell us, what was that experience like for you, and which skit resonates with you? Because I still remember the ear porn and everything. Like, yes.
Funny. That is funny. Okay, well, I'm an only child. So being brought in this cast, it was like all of a sudden you have these siblings. And I always,
Mm-hmm.
the best way to explain it is like we were actually like a family, and just how, siblings, one minute you like each other, the next minute, there might be, discrepancies or something. But we were literally like brother and sister. Um, Keenan was okay. So I believe we were all like, we all came from somewhere, whether it was print or, some of us might have came from theater. I grew up in theater. I was doing projects before. I had a couple of commercials. I had an independent film with actually Dewan Guy, who was in, I was
Oh.
about to say, Candyman. I wanted to say it's like, so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, Secret Keepers? No, he was in Candyman. But we all started out young, and it was just great because even with Keenan, so originally they added on two. It was take two off, and that was the original cast, and they decided to add on two to make it a lucky number. And Keenan was brought in, and he was actually the movie star because, you know, he came from Mighty Ducks and the other
Yeah.
movies. So he was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like used to it. You know, we were the ones that were still wet behind the ear. And the pilot, you know, we were just, you know, playing around. We didn't know if it was going to get picked up. Like, a lot of us hadn't even been out the state. So it was just fun. And it's like, it was Nickelodeon Studios. That's when it was still like the bright colors. They had like the GAC machine and all that other stuff, the kitchen.
Yeah.
The backyard was Universal Studios. So, I mean, Katrina was probably the youngest one. So she might have been between, let's see, if I was like pushing 12, she was probably 10. So you're starting from 10 to 17. You know, so with that being said, it was just like a playground for us. And
Yes. Interview.
then,
I'm sorry.
and that's why this is live.
Yes.
Anything can happen.
Yes.
So with first season, it was like, you know, now that we're excited because now we got picked up, you know, and now all of these celebrities are coming in. So it was just like a great experience that we got to, you know, experience with each other. Like I said, we were like brother and sisters. Like, you know, there was good moments and there was bad moments, but that's like with almost any family. So,
Yeah, with any team, with any set. And not only that, but TLC performed the hit single on the show, and everyone knows it. Were you
yeah.
there, and were the cast there in the studio while the girls were creating the single?
No, so we had no idea what the intro was going to be. So I believe I don't even know where they filmed it. They might have filmed it in Orlando. I have no idea. We didn't see it until the pilot came out. And it's so funny that you brought TLC because I just saw them a couple of days ago. In Atlanta, they just revealed a mural for them. So I got to see T-Roz and Rosanna, and I actually showed them the picture. And she was like, I remember you. And then I showed her, and she was like, and then she actually told me the story behind how they even, you know, came to do the theme song, which I thought was like pretty cool.
And it's still stuck with people all of these years. When it comes on, people automatically know what it is. Now, let's talk some of your favorite skits from all that. What skits do you still like to this day, and do you remember?
Randy and Mandy. And I liked Randy and Mandy
Yeah.
because, you know, that was my scene, you know, between me and Keenan, and I got to get messy without getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And that was the scene where we could go there and it wouldn't be an issue. So, you know, normally I would normally do like the first couple of takes, and if I knew that we were getting ready to wrap up because we didn't really have that many wardrobe changes, I would be like, okay, we're done, we're sure, okay, and then I would just go balls to the wall with it. You know, and it'll be like, and those were actually some of the things that they ended up using. The ones where it's like we completely went crazy, like even when we were in the chocolate tub, you know. So we went crazy with that one. I was actually wearing a full body surfer suit underneath that because it would like seep into our clothes and would, you know, it would irritate our skin and everything, but you know, just to make you guys laugh.
All right, so musical performance, because you guys have had so many musical performances on all that. What were some of your favorite musical performances? Because I remember the Spice Girls, I remember Usher, I remember Monica, I remember Skate performing "Who Can I Run To," and I'm just like, wait, this is a kids show, and y'all performing this song. So, what were some of your favorite musical performances?
It's so funny. Those music, like, we didn't even realize how not kid appropriate they were until we got older. But off top, Debrat, number one.
Yeah.
Aaliyah came in second, TLC third, Usher, biggest crush on Usher. Yes. And Monica, like, Monica's like the homegirl to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, she don't play. I love Monica. Like, that's like my little spirit angel right there.
Also, y'all had the Spice Girls, and I'm pretty sure that was a frenzy. I remember the one episode where the Spice Girls was on there in the classroom setting. And I think it was you and Kel. I remember it just like it was yesterday. So I know that one had to be an episode. Diana.
So with the Spice Girls one, that I believe that might have been season 3. So I was already gone. They were in California. So, but I did see it, and I'll tell you the ones that I wish I was there for. So Ice Cube, LL Cool
Mm.
J. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. Definitely Spice Girls, you know, because I'm Spice Girls, you know. But then I know Aaliyah had came back. So, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, they had some pretty dope artists when they came to LA.
So with all that, speaking of music, one thing people didn't know about you is that you've had some song placements for So So Def working alongside Jermaine Dupri. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I was working with So Def and Slip and Slide Records internationally, and they were doing, you know, mixtapes. So I have a couple song placements, like you said, on the mixtapes, which I thought was like pretty awesome because growing up, I wanted to be on So Def Records so bad. Like that was the thing. I think for a lot of kids, it was either, you know, So Def, LaFace Records, you
Yeah.
had Ruthless, you had Death Row. So it was like wherever you were based out and who your favorite was. It was a great experience because especially international, like that's awesome to be known. Like I was in my teens, you know, teens and early 20s on
Wow.
these mixtapes. And some of them where I was actually on the cover of the mixtape, you know, and one of the songs, they had me on a song with they put on the mixtape with Trina, which I thought was like super dope, you know, but that's, like I said, that's stuff that you can't replace that, you know, those are memories that you're always going to have.
And you went on to do so many other prolific things with your career. Like I remember seeing you in the Michael Jackson video, The King of
Oh my
Pop, Love Never Felt So Good. Tell us, what was that experience like to be
God.
in this video for The King?
Oh,
Tell.
Michael, let me tell you about that. Okay, so the crazy thing was when they were doing production for that, I guess they were like gorillaing like a lot of stuff. So it was like, it was all over. It was in the United States and it was overseas, and they were trying to hurry up really quick. So I feel like there was like deadline issues or whatever. So I have a friend that knew production and knew from the casting directors, and they had actually contacted her asking her if she wanted to come in because they were at this particular point in time, they were looking for like non-union or whatever. And I don't even think they were paying. So she just happens to ask me. She was like, look, you know, I already know you're union. I know, you know, you don't do nothing for free or whatever. But she was like, they're doing the Michael Jackson video. I was like, before she could even get it, I was like, oh my God, where? Like, so she introduces me to the casting director. And the casting director was like, well, are you sure you want to do this? Because she was like, they're not paying. And like, it was, oh my God, I feel like it was like an all day thing. But I was like, yo, it's Michael Jackson. You know, like, I don't even care. Like, just to be in a Michael Jackson music video. Now, I always wanted to meet him. I always wanted to be, you know,
Yeah.
in a project of his. I guess I should have been more specific with my prayers. But nonetheless, hey, it came about. And then to be in that particular, the segment that they used, because they were, I think that one they were modeling after the black or white music video. So that was when the
Yeah.
faces were morphing. And I had no idea how they were going to do it until it aired. And the great thing about that is my kids love Michael Jackson. My daughter is like even more so, like she don't care where she's at. She'll come and change her radio and be like, Michael Jackson, you have an Alexa. She's going to ask Alexa to play Michael Jackson. And we would be in different stores. We would go into Sephora and they would go and change. They would go and change all the tablets and put on YouTube and play Michael Jackson, and they'll be like, "That's my mom. She's seen the Michael Jackson video." So it made my kids so proud. And like I said, for me, it's Michael Jackson. Like I didn't care. Like I didn't even care. I was like, "Yo, I'll do it for free a million times for Michael Jackson."
And what's funny is because I was watching an interview with Chili from TLC, and the girls were talking about, I know T-Boss said something about Prince when they were on the fan mail tour. She said Prince came up behind her with the guitar, and she heard the string of a guitar, and then Chili met Michael Jackson. So that's crazy. And then you're in his music video, so it all
Right.
ties together. It's correlated together perfectly.
And I met Prince. I met Prince before he passed away. So we were
Yeah.
at a yeah, and that's a funny story. So we were, it was, I don't know what the party was. I don't remember anymore. But he was in there with his entourage, and he always had like the beautiful women or whatever. And I remember so he was shorter than me, but he had heels on. He was still shorter than me. So I'm in there, it was an event or whatever, and I think Marcus, no, who was it? Marquise he was in there, and Marcus Polk was there too.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so we were just like all chilling. Like I said, I think it was like an after party or something. And I see Prince walk in, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Prince. Because this is like a once in a lifetime. Like Prince wasn't
Yes.
going out like that. So he has like this huge bodyguard, and this is when now my phone has a camera on it this time, right? So I walk over to the security. I'm like, hey, is there any way that I can like get a picture with him or like talk to him? He was just like, he doesn't take pictures. He doesn't take pictures anymore, right? So I don't think I was like 19, 20. And I'm just like, okay, maybe if I just like, aim my phone in the direction of, security's kind of looking at me like, right? So make a long story short, we're getting ready to leave. I'm outside now. We're waiting on valet. And Prince is walking by. And I lift the phone up. I kid you not. I lift the phone up and I'm about to push it. Prince looks over at me and goes, and I'm like, doesn't say anything. And just goes, while he's, how he does that little smile? So I'm just like, hi. Well, I just want to say thank you. But he talked to me. So the fact that I was able to have a conversation, he dropped jewels on me, that was better than a picture. But it was so funny. He was like,
and he always had that charismatic charm about it. Like, no.
Right. And that's exactly how it is. And you just stop because it's like, I feel like if I had kept, I probably would have got tackled after that.
And another thing people don't know about you is that you've created the Evening Showdown podcast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Wow, yeah. I have this podcast show. We're on hiatus right now, but I have a podcast show called The Evening Showdown. I was doing podcasts before podcasts was like even a thing. My buddy Troy DaVinci, he actually has a coloring book as Sneaker Hits, and me and him were, the host of it. And he was saying something. He was like, you were ahead of your time. And
Yes.
but we got to interview so many people, like interviewed Gibb, Leon, like Wesley Jonathan, every hip hop legend, Kango from UTFO, rest in peace. But it was like so many different people, Soleil, and it's just like, these were all people that I looked up to. And just to be able to have conversations and have them on my show, and then some of them were dropping things that people didn't even know, like it was so awesome. And that show, we kind of went through a couple of like different seasons and different networks, because one thing about my show, I'm not going to blast any other one. So what I will say is I'm not messy. And I've never wanted that kind of show that rips people apart. So certain networks that I was on, they wanted that. They wanted, well, no, we want you to go in this direction and we want you to go in this direction. But the thing about my show and my context, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people don't realize who I know. But those people, because I don't ask for favors, I don't call them and be like, oh, okay, this, I don't do that. We've either broke bread with each other, I've helped their families, or, or they've helped mine. Those are the kind of relationships that we have. So where they're so-and-so to you, like we might have been sleeping on the floor, so I can call these people and be like, or if I don't know them, they watched me on the show or their kids watch me. So I'm able to call and be like, hey, can you do this interview for me? And they're trusting me. They're trusting me to not air them out. Like when Michelle Epps came on, she was very standoffish, respectfully. I understand why, because every time after the divorce, or I don't even think they were officially divorced, it was a separation, everybody was trying to get dirt. Like they didn't care about her project. Like she had a whole organization that she was trying to promote. Like she had other things. So I guess certain people would be like, oh yeah, you can come on the show. And then they wanted to know that dirt. So in the beginning, when she came on, you could kind of tell she was kind of like, I'm waiting for, the ball to drop. And we didn't do that. And so she kind of like, she loosened up because they're used to that. They're used to that betrayal. And that's what I did not want my show to be on. So a couple of times I pulled the plug. Like I was over at CBS radio. I was on some pretty good networks, and I don't believe in working for free. So, I had a team with me because I I create opportunities. So if I know that you do a show or whatever, and I created a whole, so I had Evening Showdown, and then I created Truth Hurts. So that was an extension of Evening Showdown. Truth Hurts was pretty much talking about all the political, you know, conspiracy, whatever you wanted to talk about. We might have told you about how to do your taxes, how to do LLCs. That was what that show was about. And then my show was, you know, strictly entertainment. Well, the Truth Hurts was a pretty dope show. And then we had different people. We had officials coming in on that show. So it was like different people, and we were teaching people things, but it was too positive, you know? So, but I say that to say I created other opportunities for others. But like I said, I don't believe in anybody working for free. And certain networks were kind of, they weren't being honest about the pay. You know, it was clear that we were getting sponsorships and we were getting commercials. So somebody's getting paid, but it wasn't us. So I pulled it because like now I've got 4 other people up under me and they're looking at me like, yo. So I decided to go ahead and relaunch it, but it's now the Evening Showdown Reloaded. And that concept is strictly because now I'm just taking control. Like I don't, you know, if we don't end up on a major network, I don't care because now I'm doing it my way. I don't want to promote negativity. The Evening Showdown Reloaded, it talks about what you're doing. I ask, you know, what do you want to do to inspire the youth? Oh, okay, so I know you grew up in the church, or, you know, how did you make it from the bottom up? You know, I do shows like that now. All strictly positivity because we got enough negativity and darkness in the world. Like I don't need to contribute to any more darkness in the world.
Absolutely. And you've been very candid. One thing I commend you for is you've been very candid about the obstacles that you faced as a woman of color, as a Black woman. And you said something that resonated. You said a lot of networks didn't pay what I was supposed to be worth. And I've kind of been speaking and touching on that with other women that I've had during these Girl Talk segments on Friday. Mm-hmm. And they were saying the same thing. It's sad because for women, for us, we make 82 cents to a dollar that a man makes. And what, Angelique, as a woman, for you, because you're a legend, you've been in this game for a long time, and I'm giving you all your flowers.
Thank you. I'm taking them.
Yes. What are your thoughts on the gender pay gap? Because I'm pretty sure you've touched on this as a woman, and I know that it's affected so many other women of color in the industry. I know Viola Davis has also been transparent. She said, if you call me the Black Meryl Streep, pay me what I'm worth. Yeah. So what are your thoughts as a woman of color in this industry, as long as you've been, on women not getting equal pay?
I've definitely witnessed that. I've definitely experienced it. I may have probably gotten the worst end of that stick. But I will say I definitely was affected by it, especially, you know, being on the show, because it definitely, they favored the males more. And it was quite evident, you know, but it's just kind of crazy to see that on a children's show, but they don't care. They don't care. You know, in the industry, it is pretty much male dominated. Yes. They prefer to push the males. And if they do, you know, push certain ones, they prefer the ethnic males. Now they'll push, you know, the ethnic males, but the females, you know, of color, they're just, you know, kind of like, but like, you know, you have her who is a household name and bringing in the bucks, but they don't care. It's like, yeah, she's like Meryl Streep, but you don't want to pay her. So there's more to it than they're women. You know, I feel like racism is still very much alive. You know, I don't care how you put a spin on it. You know, if you want either sky is blue and you want to say the sky is purple, well, some days it is, but the majority of the days, you know, it's people don't care. This industry doesn't care. They care about money, and they control the narrative. You know, so if you want to see something different, then it's really on the fans, the supporters, because now the supporters are actually running a lot of things, but that's why they have the media. That's why they have certain things, and they're brainwashing a lot of people because, first of all, okay, overseas, a lot of people might not know this, but overseas, even when it comes to social media and even when it comes to, you know, TV or whatever, they don't show the stuff that we see. They don't promote, you know, the negativity like that. Like, so if you have an actress that's doing something, they're actresses, are probably getting paid what they should be getting paid. It's over here that it's a little bit different, you know, but you know, that's a whole nother show. But where I, you know, that even that the 8 cents or whatever, I get less than that because of the situation. Like I wasn't even getting that. So, you know, I wasn't even getting residuals for a minute. And I would get offered, you know, minus the Michael Jackson thing, that had nothing to do with that. That was just, my friend was just looking out for me. We'll use, so the reunion. A lot of people thought I did the 10-year anniversary. I did not do the 10-year anniversary. The reason why I did not do the 10-year anniversary is because they did not want to pay me. They didn't want to pay me $1. They didn't want to pay me $2. But they paid everyone else. And even, and I'm not going to say any names, but even some of the females that they did pay, they still did not pay them their worth. So all of us were responsible for changing the culture. And even the other females that went ahead and did it, God bless them, they did not pay them their worth, but you wouldn't even give me $1. So, you know, it's stuff like that, you know, I see it, I get it. But one thing I'll say is, Kiki, she just launched her channel. That's why you have to go. You have to go and make your own opportunities. And that girl, I haven't met her. At least I don't think I have. She definitely, she doesn't take no for an answer. And she has one thing mastered. She moves in silence, which a lot of people, they talk too much. And then, you know, you're putting your ideas and stuff out there. And then you have people that are preying on your downfall. Or, you know, they're like, oh, well, let me try to block this, or let me do it before you. The fact that she created her own network, it doesn't even matter. So if nobody wants to pay her what she's worth, she's got the network. And we're in a world now where it's you guys. It's all about you. The productions, they're trying to control the narrative, but with social media, they really can't. You know, so it's all about what you guys, if you guys want to see something, you want to see Miss Davis get paid more, it's you guys have got to, you know, get on that horn and keep on saying it, because productions and these labels, they're going to continue to do what they're doing because they are trying to brainwash. If you guys don't want to hear the mumble rap, if you guys don't want to see all this reality TV, you guys have to say something. But if everybody's tuning in the minute a fight breaks down or somebody has a toxic relationship, you know what I'm saying, then guess what? That still brings in money. Even though this person might be literally in an abusive relationship in front of everybody, we seeing them get their brains kicked in and out. But guess what? It's pulling in ratings because everybody's rushing to it and liking, commenting on whatever. So it's all about money. They don't even care.
And it's sad. We're now in a day and age, as you said, where everything is so male dominated, that misogyny and racism is still here in real time. And I've been very, very vocal about women not getting enough, us not getting enough paid in this day and age. And there's so many other actresses. I think Taraji P. Henson said something about it. Viola Davis said something, and I gave you guys her statement. Monique even said something about it. So it's just like, we still have a lot of work to do in this industry. And it's just like, women, we have to work twice times as hard as a man, and just to get our place.
Right. And you know, another thing that's very real is colorism. So as where you have the females that are already getting the short end of the stick, now they're pitting us against each other, because there have been roles that it was like, oh, I wasn't light enough, or I wasn't dark enough, or, you know, it's always something. And then now you have, it's already hard enough if you're not booking. But so now you have those that really care about this industry trying to alter, butcher their bodies, bleach or whatever. And then some of them still aren't getting it. But then if they are, they can only get a certain kind of work, which is reality TV, or, you know, nothing against anyone that does it. But you see what it is. It's like they're still trying to control the narrative, and they still say that you're not good enough. You know, it's like, I feel like, I don't know what it would take, but everybody would have to come together and just pretty much put their foot down. But there's so many people that this is their livelihood. So they're tiptoeing around, you know, because they don't want to create a you know, any kind of commotion. So they're just doing whatever. but it's going to actually take that one person or a couple people that just really don't care. Those that are actually making their own opportunities, and their money is not coming. Their next meal is not coming from the network. And when you have more of the Tyler Perrys and more of the, you know, Kikis and all that other stuff, and it starts accumulating, then I think that's probably when things will start to turn around. But I can't tell you when that's going to happen.
You've mentioned colorism, and you've been
Mm-hmm.
candid and talked about that as well too. And I've talked about colorism as well too.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened so many times in Hollywood to women of color. Viola Davis spoke out about it. Gabrielle Union spoke out about it. So many actresses have spoke out about colorism. And I even said here on the show, I said, I'm not the lightest girl in the room. We already know who's going to get certain roles and who's not going to. And if they give us a certain role, we've seen it on shows where there's the dark skinned best friend and there's the light skinned best friend. There's more favoritism to the lighter skinned best friend. So
Mm-hmm.
with bright eyes and good hair, we know that hair is also a thing in Hollywood. So in this business is all about beauty. It's about the aesthetic. And working in the fashion business, that's what I've seen as well too. You know, models backstage even have to suffer because of their color, their skin, not
Mm-hmm.
being able to match makeup tones, which was a problem
Right.
back in the day with brands like Fenty and so many others now, where it's being, you know, it's all skin tones from all over the world. It's beauty
Mm-hmm.
all over the world, where we're expanding and we're seeing different skin tones. Back in the day, it was difficult. It
Oh
was
yeah.
difficult to find your makeup shade, to find products that were great for your hair. You would have to bring your own products to your hair and things like that backstage. It was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing who you are, people can persuade you to change to a person who you are not. Exactly. And this
Mm-hmm.
business is built on the aesthetic of beauty and being appeasing to the eye. So, and that puts a lot of pressure on young girls out here as well, too. Like, do I have to change this about myself? Because I don't feel beautiful. I don't feel appreciated enough. And Angelique, for me growing up watching you, you were one of those 90s girls for me. Because I have my list of it was Nia Long, it was Vivica Fox, it was Janet Jackson, it was Holly Berry, um, who else? Mary J. Blige, and you. Seeing you girls on TV and Vanessa Williams, of course, made me say, okay, I'm black, I am beautiful, I am woman, and
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am. I don't have to change a thing about myself. But back then, the 90s, those were the girls. You were one of the it girls for me back then. Because I remember I would have pictures of you guys all on my wall, posters of you on my wall, and everything. And it's just like girls need something to look up to when they're turning on the TV or flipping through the magazines. And back then, we didn't really have social media in the 90s. You know,
Right.
you had your
Okay.
paparazzi, you had your photographers, and they would take pictures and capture everything in that moment. And what would make it so even worse is that in the modeling industry as well too. You're on there.
Right.
Um, I think I heard Tyra Banks, or was it Naomi Campbell? It's Tyra. Tyra said something that it could only be one black girl at the time. Why not all black models? But we know that there's a thing with colorism and
Yeah.
beauty and the aesthetic of what you're supposed to look like back then in the fashion and modeling world. And that's made it even worse. And I'm just like, you've got girls that are starving themselves to be a perfect size 2, a size 4. Um, size was a thing back then as well too as
Oh
well.
my God. So it's crazy that you like, you're just like blowing my mind right now, because as where you guys were looking up to us, or, you know, even just I was a
Yeah.
positive influence for you guys.